Okay, we're going to work on our center base studs here. So I'm going to cut these things down. I'm cutting about 1/8 of an inch off of these roughly. Getting an overall length of 2.335-ish, somewhere in that area usually on these things. So I just got done making one. I made it 210, so I cut 125 off, I guess. 210. So basically I just put in my chuck here. 6-jaw chuck doesn't really chew up the threads all that much. Just come over here and cut it. To know what we're doing, we're going to put our dial indicator stop over here. So we know about where we're at. And go ahead and zero that out after we get it cutting over here. Damn tripod's in my way for working here, but work around it. I think we're all the way up. Yep, we're all the way up. Okay, we touched right there. So I'm going to set my indicator right over here to 0. Start cutting. So you either cut off the end like this, here, maybe a little further to see better, or I can cut in a little bit. See the dial way back over here in the corner. $75. 110 right there. Usually color more, a little more aggressive doing it this way. You're doing just a little bit left. You just cut straight in on it. Alright, just pull it back a little bit. Of course, you can't see the dials, which I'm working on right here. So these ones. So there's another. Turn these like this. That's 120 off. Okay. After you cut that, you're going to come back and cut the chamfer a little bit on it. Yeah, camera's going to work. Now we just do by freehand. A little more than that. Alright, you're all done. Use the file to smooth it up. Also radius it in a little bit like that, and make it a radius top. And cut the titty off the top if there's a titty left. 6-jaw didn't do any damage to the threads. So now you can see the radius edge on the top, and if there's a little bit of titty right there, that got cut off too. So that's how you do that. Just gonna do another one real quick. Advantage of the 6-jaw chuck, doesn't do any damage, or very little damage, but it holds good because it's got twice as many teeth holding on to everything. Oop. Bang bang. Okay, there's our number. You gotta make sure you have at least the amount you want it to be over here, otherwise the dial indicator won't work. Okay. Spot where it touches, right there, 0. A little bit. Yeah, you can't see it, it's too close. Don't pull back anymore, I won't be able to work. Yeah. Back here you can see better. Maybe. Probably not. Just got done sharpening this bit a little bit different than I normally do. It's like the hot figure pretty good, which is nice. And there's another one done. So there's what the two of them look like. Their overall length. And let's see how close we got them. I think one's about 5 thou more than the other. Okay, this one here we're at 215. This one here we're at 214. Alright, closer than I thought they were. They're both 5 thou more than the last ones I did. So I can go check these out and see how they fit. So, I've got 3 of them made now, so let's see how this works on the case. Remember using the short nuts on here. So these only have about 7/16 of usable thread in here. So now I'm pushing it almost up to 1/2 inch, just under half now, about 475, and pushed a little extra. I can run this all the way until the bottom's out here in the case, and you got 3/4 inch of height here for the cylinder spigot. That'll be the deck thickness on the cylinder right here. So that's how you figure it out. Watch the previous video. Okay, so now we're going to use our thread installer, stud installer. Just a collet. Hold on to the nut. You can also use 2 nuts together, tighten together, and works also. Almost as quick too. Threads are a little unhappy with me there. This locks the collet down. That's ready to go in. Take a little red Loctite. This isn't Loctite, it's Dyno Max or something, Tech, whatever. Same thing. Put it inside the threads in the hole. Don't flood it in there, just put a little bit. Just enough to get a little line in there. Put a little bit on the outside. I didn't put this on the other one. Put a little bit on this one on the outside. Don't need much. The reason you put it inside the hole is because when you put the stud in, it shoves all the Loctite down. When it's on the outside, it shoves it all up. So between the two, you get all surfaces covered. These are going in pretty easy. Just go until the bottom's out, no extra. Off the collet free there. Okay. Let's see what the install height is. 1, 2, 1, 2. We're actually about 180, but that was about 195 maybe. took my indicator away. We have another indicator nearby. See, just under 1.2 at 197. Ooh, that one's a lot lower. That was 170. Damn. 168. That's a lot lower. It threaded in deeper because the stud was longer than that one. So this one fits. I know that one will fit now. Okay, we'll see what this one goes in. If this one keeps going deeper, I'll make the stud longer. I'll only cut 100 off the next one. I know that 1.2 fit. Came out half a turn. About. Where's this one at? A little bit under. Yeah, that's closer to 1930 on that one. This one obviously threaded in deeper. These two were the same length, but they went in 25 difference in overall height. Oh, way up there now. So now I'm up to 216, so I got to go a little bit tighter on this one now. So I went twice when I need to go, so I go back halfway, so I'll go back a quarter of a turn. Fine tuning it. Only picky people do it this way. Yeah, we 192. I'll live with that. Okay. So now I'm gonna see if our cylinder fits. I've already checked it once. I've got no gaskets, no washers, no nothing. Our fitment issue was getting the nut in here and having enough clearance. So I'm laying on the fin, and you see I got that much clearance. So I got about 30 thou clearance maximum. I can raise it up higher. So we're 1.2 with about 5 under at most. So that means we can probably make it 1.225 maybe in clear on the stud length. That'd be a maximum number, of course. Of course, this nut doesn't want to start. I already had it on there. There it goes. Okay, so we have nothing on there, no gaskets, no nothing. Cylinder's loose. Tightening it up a little bit. Cylinder's tight, see? I don't care if the nut's tight, I care if the cylinder's tight. If the nut bottomed out on the threads, it would be tight, but the cylinder would still be loose. Okay, the cylinder's not moving, it's tight. So that's a good sign. We're going to try the other one, just to make sure we have no more fitment issues. Okay, we loosen this one up. Cylinder's loose. Tighten that up. Cylinder's tight. So we know it's not bottoming out in the nut. Okay, so it seems like this is going to be a good combination of parts. Everything seems to be fitting correctly. So now we can just duplicate it with the other 8, all 8 studs the same now. So we know if we put it at 1.2 inches above the gasket surface, we're good. I cut off about 110 to 120 thou off the top of the stud from what it was. That seems to be working too. So our installed height on this one, I think this was a 97 before. Yeah, 99, close enough. So 1.2 is a good installed height. Actually, we can probably push it up another 20 or so, 25 max, if we really want to push it. That one's 203 with just the way I measured it. And this one here, 97. So they're all coming around that 1.2. So they're all pretty close. Okay, so I'm just going to do all of these now. We know they all work. And I'll cut the rest of them. So we'll be back after I get them in. Alright, I got the studs all in here now. Both case halves. I just wanted to check to make sure there's no burrs or anything inside of here, casting, flashing that I don't like too much. This case wasn't too bad. This one here, a little bit of crap sticking up over here. So I had to cut it down. So a couple dingleberries sticking out a little bit. Also cleaned up right here in the breather cavity slightly. There's a bunch of some kind of epoxy grease, I don't know, epoxy sealer stuff in there. It was glass looking. So I cut it out, scrape it out, cut it out. Check this to make sure it's all good. Now it is. This one's already been clearanced for the stroker kit by someone else. Looks like I probably hit it with a buffer to clean it up a little bit. I don't remember. So anyway, what you got to do is basically the cut right here stock. You got to move them up a little bit, and that's to clear the crank pin here in the big nut. When you stroke it, all this stuff moves out further, it hits things. So this shelf right here gets hit hard right through here. With a 4.5 inch kit, you probably have to go about that far. If you go to a 4 3/4 kit or a 5 inch, you need to cut way out to here. So we just cut them out, make sure there's clearance. That way you don't have to ever worry about it. And like we're using bigger diameter crank pins and the nuts here than what the early ones are. So that makes it hit a little bit more too. So that should all clear. I have to double check it. And this was cut back here a little bit too. So next thing is I got to figure out the bearing fit for the pinion shaft there. So looking at the race here, determine if it was been honed or not. It's got some scrapes and stuff in there for being slid on and off stuff, but not sure. So I got to measure that. This appears to have new Timken bearings over here. So I need to clean these one more time to begin with. In the clean tank, try to scrub some more of that buffing rouge off. Most of it is off, but you still see I get a little bit on my fingers, a little black here and there. So I was hoping to use my electric solid cleaner to clean it, but I haven't found any using that yet. So that's yet to be determined. I definitely don't want to destroy the finish, so we're not going to put it in there until it's proven to be good. So for now I got to measure these bearings up in here and see what's going on. I still got to get the 2 dowel pins back in here. Usually I'll leave them things laying around where I can find them. Yeah, kind of like right here. It's probably one of them right there. It's probably the other one. Yeah, those look like they might be the ones. So we'll put the bad part in first and blow it up and see a little better. Put the good part out, put the bad spot in the end case. See how the bad is bad. And we'll see if we can find a new one for that one. This one's pretty bad. So we got a new one here for something else sitting here. Some other motor. So maybe we'll just put the good one in here. Alright, so we'll probably go ahead and do that right now. I'll put that in with sleeve retainer Loctite. So, let's see how this camera works. Fancy new stuff here. There we go. So a little bit of sleeve retainer Loctite. That's the good stuff. It's called thick ass green. Wipe off the excess. Got a lot of crap on it. So take a dollar style file and knock off the buildup on it, whatever that is. I'll just kind of roll it with my fingers a little bit like this as I'm doing it. Let's see if we can lose it though. Good way to cut your fingernails down a little bit too. Heard a couple burrs in there as you're going. Alright, it's pretty close. So I'm rolling my finger here this way here as I'm filing on a little bit. Alright, so you want to make sure most of the junk is off. Looks good. I don't know if that was in the camera or not. I was watching it myself, not the camera. So now we can go ahead and put it on. Smear a nice coat all the way around. Try to get some on the side of the hole a little bit. Hard knocking this all the way in. Okay. One more task down. You just go from one thing to another. Eventually you run out of things to do. Okay, so I gotta check my bearing hole. Says we're roughly there. About 3/10 out of the taper on it. Appears to be round though. We're going to set our bore gauge with a setting ring. See where we're at. Hopefully we're at 0. Right there would be 0. So you wiggle this back and forth, find the high spot. And you do it in multiple places. Appear to be off by a little bit. Temperatures makes a big difference on this stuff. When you're dealing in tenths of thousands, every few degrees makes a difference. So you re-zero it. As long as everything is the same temperature, you're accurate. If you got dissimilar temperatures, you're not accurate. Okay, now let's see what actual diameter we have here. Okay, about 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 5, 1, 5.5, 1, 6, 1, 5. So So that's our biggest point sideways, where you'll never be at. 1, 2 is our tight up and down, which is where most of your wear is at. Okay, so we're 1.2. That's 1.2 thousandths over standard. Standard is 1 3/4 inches, which is the inside diameter of that caser is. It's also the outside diameter of your bearing on the crank. That would be the outside of these bearings here. So we have to measure the rollers, measure the crank, do a little math, see what numbers we're supposed to have. First thing you do is measure your snout here, see what you got in your bearing race. So we're under standard. We're about 6/10 on the old mic here. Camera's in the way. Yeah. Okay, we're about 6/10. So that's 4/10 under. Shaft's supposed to be 1 1/4, which is 1.250. That'd be 250. This shaft is actually 4/10 less than that, which is 1.2496, fourth digit. Okay, these are supposed to be 1/4 inch diameter, these rollers. And the 2/10 over is our most common number. And that appears to be what this one is. Doesn't seem to matter what color. If they come from Harley, they're all the same size easily. That's how they used to be anyway. Doesn't matter what color they are, they all measure 2/10 over. And this one's measuring 2/10 over too. So that picks up to 4. So we're back to 0, because this was 4 under. This is 2/10 over, 2 per side. That means you add 4. That puts you at 0. So now you got whatever clearance is left over, it's what you got. So we got 12 to 15, so 1.2 to 1.5 thousandths clearance, which is slightly bigger than you normally would on a run, but it's a hot rod motor, so you're okay. Normally you want to run like 9/10 to 12/10 clearance. That one is slightly oversized. So I'm going to hold the race slightly to see what it is, and then I might change the bearing out. I don't like this style bearing anyway, I like the doubles. More bearing area. And the race is out around, so if I get that thing up to 1.4 or so, it'll smooth it up. I can run an oversized bearing, and then that'll all work. So that's how I like it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hone it a little bit, or we can go look for bearings. Probably should look for bearings first. So this is 2/10 over, we need 4/10 over. That would add 4 to our number, which means you drop off 4 off the other number. So that means we have to hone out 2 to 3/10 of the race to make what we want, to get down that 1,000 number, which is 10/10. And if nobody's figuring out what I'm talking about, you better not be working on bearings. Okay, so here's our bearing numbers. We're looking for 4/10, which is exactly what this one says it is. So it looks like we got one set left before you can't buy them no more. All this stuff has become unobtainium. Once Dixie went under, you can't buy parts no more for at least till somebody comes out with them again. Who knows how many years that'll be. It's a good thing I bought extra parts, but I only got so many. Okay, this has 2 bearings in it. Two bearings is better than 1 bearing. problem with one bearing is that when you get cocked, they quit rotating. So if you bind up just a little bit in your crank being slightly out of true, it locks the rollers up. They won't roll because long rollers cock real easy. When you got two loose rollers, the long roller is not long, it's short. So it takes a lot more binding before you lock up one short roller versus one long roller. So these won't work as good as these. The next thing is if you line up your bearing there and you go around the circle, line it up again. When you go around a circle, notice how they're not the same as you go around. There's more bearings in this one. So you pick up one more roller. So when you only got 12 rollers, that means you pick up 8%. So you get 8% more bearing area just by putting these in. If you go to the earlier ones, shovelhead parts that have cages, you pick up another roller, pick up another 8% more. So I like the older stuff, it's better easily. Plus you got a better selection of rollers on the old ones. Okay, so I want to measure these to see if these are 1, 2 or if they're 4. Okay, these are 4/10. If you look at the line right here, it shows 4/10. Three and a half, 4. 4. I've actually had these where they're mixed, where they have different rollers in each one of these. That'd be called a bad set. 4. 4. 4. Okay, so these are a little bit bigger, so that'll work. So we can either go up to this, or we can use the existing one that came with the bike, which was this one. This is brand new, so I'm assuming those are parts he already had. Customers don't always like when you change out all the parts on them, even when it's for their own good. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in here. It looks like I lightly honed it, maybe would be my guess, but I'm not sure. Because when you've been handled a lot, it kind of masks what's happened. So I'm going to give it a flash hone, and to get an idea what the surface looks like. When you use a really fine hone, it'll show the highs and lows and finishes that are in the race. So that's what we're going to do. Besides, it'll give me another excuse to clean the case. I like cleaning cases a lot. It gets the grit out. This is for doing the cylinders. We're not that far yet. Do that. And we need this one right here. Okay, we need a fine grit. 96 would be fine. Okay, hone it. See what the finish looks like and what the bearing race looks like, and measure it. Honing oil. Normally I don't do this, but we'll do it for the camera. So there's your bearing race there. So you look at the finish and different shadows and marks. You can see how most all the old grooving is gone. So this has been honed before. But we didn't hone enough to get it all out of get it straight because we ran out of room in the bearing clearance. So 5, 5, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So it's out around quite a bit. So it's 3/10 out. So I can either live with it or fix it. You probably know what I think about that, right? This is going to be fun to do. Hold the bore gauge and the camera. So there's what I'm talking about, 1, 1. You move it in, measured in there. 1, 1.5, see? Then you rotate it. See, we're 1.5. Move it in a little bit, check it again. Same thing, 1.5 inches, or 1.5. So we're 3/10 out around, which I do not like. Looks like the taper disappeared though. It's just straight out around now. So we need to get some of this out around and out of it. Okay, so now usually I get cases from Harley or S&S. They're usually somewhere between 7 tenths and 1/1000 out around. That's just 10/10. So they're already twice as good as what those guys do on that, but I'm a little more pickier than they are. So that means I want it better. And we can move up to a better bearing. That's always a double plus. Alright, so we're at 0 on our crank. We picked up 4/10 in our clearance. If we give it a thou clearance, that puts us at 14. We're at 15 already. And we're at 11, so I got to pick up 3/10 or so on the thing. So we're 4/10 out around right now. So we want to try to make it round, but without making it bigger on the big side. Only want to cut the small side. That's fun to do. See how close we can get it. That takes technique. And know your tools, obviously. This is not mine honing, but I'm not going between the other case. The case has a little bit of a wobble to it, which means it's not quite dead straight. You go both directions so you keep it taped, not to get tapered. Okay, let's see what we got. 1/10 bigger on this loose side. About 1/2 tenth on the other side. Probably half of that's from heat. Okay, we're going to deglaze my stone. So we'll cut through her. We're going to cut and brush her. Cut. 3.5. Now we're up to about 6 now. Yeah. 7. We wanted what, 1.4 minimum. I know it's got a little heat in it, it's going to shrink slightly. Do a little extra here. Right at 4, maybe slightly less. I'm definitely cutting it out around. Give it one more shot. You got around this is not what it's about. About 4.25, 4.5. More. I usually cut about 1/10 over and go clean it and shrink it down. It's usually how it works. One more. It feels really round and straight and hard. It's going to feel pretty easy. That's not what we're getting on the measuring. Okay, so should be just over 5 now. Yeah, we're right there. And just a booger over the 0.05. So you're like 1/10 of a line over. And you turn it 90 degrees. This is where we had the 4/10 out before. Looks like we're about 18, so we're 3/10 out now. Yeah, it's a little bit under 18, pretty close. So we dropped a 1/10 on the outer round out, which wasn't a major difference. We got more of the race cleaned up now. There was a little bit of a low spot that's now gone. Not seeing that anymore. It's nice and clean now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this case up. I'll be back. Okay, I got these all cleaned up again. So this is the third good cleaning we've done on it. So it's getting pretty clean now. Here's where I scratched the piss out of the case over here. That's from the honing. So it was rubbing on the honing. Try to keep from rubbing on anything to keep the polish up. But see, I rotate it, I keep it on an edge. And I flip it to another edge. That way you don't get all this bird up under here. Show bike junk. I don't like working on show bikes. It takes too much time to keep everything from being perfect. So anyway, I got the that cleaned up. I'm not sure if it's Camera's really picking up how nice and smooth that is. So let's see, we got our end results. We're here after we cooled it off. Hopefully it didn't drop below 4. About 4.5. Didn't shrink as much as I thought it would be. About 4.25. And over here, where are we at here? It's at about 6.5. That's pretty good if it's that low. Yeah, it's about 6.5. So that means we're down to 2/10 out around. So we took out half the air. That's good. So we helped it out a little bit. I like keeping everything under 3/10, preferably under 2, my errors, but take what we can get. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put on top of the crank here. The crank's still filthy and I got to rebuild this thing. Even though it's a new crank, I'm going to rebuild it. And it's been sitting a long time open, so it's got rust here and there. It's got a big nick right there and a bearing there, which I do not like. It's got a little bit of rust right here on the edge, but that doesn't really matter because it's not where the bearing area is. A little spot right there. You can see how the pinion shaft here, so where somebody kept fingering it like this, and when you finger it like that, see how your thumb comes around? The acids in your fingers destroy your new parts. You also get a little bit on the outside of the flower where people touched it. It's also where the oil in the paper bag was at, or the plastic bag was. My hands have so much solvent through them through the years on them, I don't have a lot of sweat coming out of my hands, so I have very little acids in my hands anymore. Back when I was a kid I had a problem with that, but that's gone away with age. Okay, now I already call all this all real clean over here, so I'm going to wipe this down. Try not to transfer filth to my clean parts. This crank's coming apart anyway to be rebuilt. I don't give a squat if it is brand new. It's still getting rebuilt. Okay. Do my bearings. Okay, these are the new bearings. I already cleaned these up. Okay. Now I don't care what the hell all the measuring devices are. If this doesn't fit on the crank correctly, it's getting honed out bigger. I have had issues where that had to be redone. For whatever reason, there was errors. Okay, that slid on there nicely. Now you do a little jiggle test. You jiggle it up and down this way and then side to side the other way. You have to pick it up off the flywheel. Here's the clearance. That's good. I like that. Come back up this way. A little bit more that way probably. It's a little tighter sounding than this way. Because it's looser side to side by 2/10. Has a nice jiggle to it, which is what I like. And over here you watch the flywheel go up and down. Can't get it to do it. Let's go all against it. That a little bit will help. Okay, we're out a little bit. Okay, now you should be able to see it right here in the K-slip. How much clearance we're actually looking at here. Just keep sliding in. It's hard to tell. It's hard to make it work that way. Look at this way. Jiggle in there. So, feel and sound helps a lot more than what your vision is on this stuff. Didn't catch the rod before they nailed each other. Alright, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to rebuild this. Alright, let me get this apart. We'll come back in a minute.